What's up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in today for another episode of Niners News here on 49ers Hive. My name is Zach Hernandez. I'm joined by co-host Matt Llewellyn, and today we are going to be talking about some recent updates in Raheem Mostert's contract situation. Matt, today it was announced Raheem Mostert and the 49ers agreed to restructure his deal. I do not believe the specifics have been announced yet, but what are your initial thoughts on this whole situation?
I guess it was kind of reported that they added some, bonus and some incentives to the contract to kind of flesh out some of the value. It's a little surprising to me that they kind of bent on this. They didn't really have to. And what I'm guessing is when all the numbers really come out, what'll have happened is it'll have freed up a little bit of extra cap space for maybe George Kittle to be signed. I know that the team just didn't do this out of the goodness of their heart. I know that Raheem has done a good job of doing what he was asked to do in all levels of the 49ers organization. When he was asked to be a special teams guy, he was a special teams guy. When they asked him to, carry the load last year, he did that. So I understand that, the team wants to do right by him. The timing was really weird. We're still on edge with George Kittle. I know that there was some Twitter scuttlebutt about it being a done deal already, but that hasn't panned out because this team doesn't leak anything. So all that stuff was probably garbage anyway. So you would expect that they would have done Kittle first. So what that tells me is that there's something here that was not only an incentive for Raheem Mostert and something that he wanted, to happen, but the team probably got something out of it too.
Yeah, I that's a great point because it definitely freed up something and allowed them to kind of have a little more flexibility to sign George Kittle to that long-term deal that everybody's been kind of anxiously waiting for. And I just want to read Raheem Mostert's agent's statement that he released today. Happy we got things worked out and looking forward to having him having another great season there. Thanks to the organization for taking care of him. So to me, we talked about this when this first was announced and Raheem Mostert's agent, Brett Tessler, first kind of publicly appealed to the fans, asking for, essentially the fans to shame the team into getting the deal for his client. And, we both agree that's kind of not the way they should have gone about it. And not only that, but it's a bad look. You're kind of using public opinion and the fans to shame the team, like I said, and you're kind of trying to guilt the team into it because the team is aware, even though they're not as active on social media when it comes to, replying to fans or liking tweets, they're on there. They see everything. So I'm sure Brett Tessler knew what he was doing when he kind of went out and said, you know what, after months of trying to get this deal done, they're just, giving my client crumbs. And after what he did, so he knew what he was doing. Mm-hmm. And to come out and say this statement here, we're glad the team was able to take care of my client. It pretty much just shows, it's all he knows. It's a game. He knows he was trying to play them. And it looks like they got what they wanted. I'm just hoping the 49ers are still able to get what they want out of this. And, at a certain point, production and, value, they don't necessarily keep increasing at the same rate. You can only pay a running back so much and then production doesn't keep continuing. So I don't think Raheem Mostert's at that point yet, but it'll be interesting to see what happens after this. And I know he didn't have – go ahead.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. And I think that the speculated upon incentives are going to be really interesting too, because I think that this is going to be one of those things where, again, the team is really good at setting up contracts, and it might be a thing of like, okay, well, you want extra money, you're going to have to earn it. So we'll put the bonuses in there for you, no problem. You're going to, maybe take a little off the top as far as what he's going to get guaranteed, and say, hey, if you average 5 yards a carry again, then you're going to get X, Y, Z. If you reach a certain yards milestone, you'll get this, and it's just, I think the team looked at it from like, well, you want your money and you think you're worth it. Well, then you're going to have to go out there and prove once again that what you did last year wasn't the outlier, wasn't the fluke, because again, you've been cut by 6 different NFL teams and, you've been all over the league and nobody has kept you. And now all of a sudden you do one thing and it's like the minute you get a taste, you just become obsessed with it. It's like, okay, well, I did this. So now I've earned X, Y, Z without having actually proven it over a sustainable level. You know, it's not like he's been 4 years of doing this and now it's time to pay him like you would have like with a rookie or something like that. You know, he's going to have to prove that last year was him in a nutshell and him in reality rather than, you know, Kyle Shanahan's scheme doing wonders for a guy that really was a journeyman.
If you had to speculate, and obviously it's 100% speculation here, what would this restructure look like?
It would probably be similar to, so maybe a little bit more upfront on like a bonus or something like that. So maybe a lot of it, you know, it's hard to even say without knowing the terms, but a certain percentage of it will be an upfront bonus for this season. They'd probably lower his base salary to compensate for that, but then also add in like an incentives for, you know, yards or yards per carry, or this, you know, percentage of snaps on offense, you know, kind of like how Richard Sherman has a very low base salary, but he has all these escalator clauses that once he reaches them, you know, he gets paid a lot more. And, you know, it's one of those, hey, I bet on myself kind of things. And I'd say that this is for the team to do this in the middle of a contract negotiation with a more important player, quite frankly, in George Kittle, tells me that there was some compromise on both ends, that they came together and said, hey, again, hey, we'll incentivize you to play your best football, but you're going to have to earn the money. If you think you're this guy, you're going to have to go out there and prove it.
And last time we talked about this, you brought up that list of Shanahan running backs, specifically Kyle Shanahan running backs that had tremendous success with Kyle Shanahan, and then either Shanahan left or the running backs left, and the production dropped off. So I think this is the best scenario for Mostert because he doesn't have to necessarily show his hand to the NFL. Say he were to get traded to a crappy team who's able to pay him the money and he has a bad year, and then he's kind of made out to look like a fool. But now in this case, he gets the money and he gets to stay in the perfect system for his traits and his skills. So it's almost like he can't really lose because he's going to get the money. And at the same time, he's able to pretty much, it's almost a guarantee he'll have similar production just based on the way this offensive system is set up. And not only that, but they traded away Matt Breida. They do have some young undrafted free agent running backs back there. McKinnon's coming back from injury. But I think this is, I mean, obviously it's the first time in his career he's going into the season as the number one back, and other guys have to take that spot from him as opposed to him having to take that from other guys. So that's also kind of an interesting thing to keep an eye on, his mentality going from the underdog to now being the top dog, and people looking at him to, I'm coming for your spot. So that you know, it's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and that's, you know, again, be careful. You know, we've seen what happens to the next anointed guy, and we've seen how the next anointed guy, like people like Matt Breida, people like Tevin Coleman, get lost in the shuffle when they're not doing their job right. How quickly did Matt Breida go from, you know, hey, he's the guy. We see him week 3 Cleveland running an 80-yard touchdown on a start, you know, and then he doesn't play, you know, one or two fumbles, and that just like that, he was in Shanahan's doghouse. You know, it's that quick. And now that the spotlight is on Mostert, he's got to be careful what he wished for, and he has to come out and prove that he can do it, you know, because if he can't, you mentioned undrafted guys. Listen, running backs are still very replaceable in this league. And if he doesn't show out and produce, he's going to be like those other guys and fall by the wayside. Just simple as that.
Yeah, definitely. Matt, does this show the 49ers? Does it kind of paint them in a bad light? And this is going to sound totally stupid for me, but when I saw this, the main quote that came into my mind is, "We don't negotiate with terrorists." And you know, the agent and Raheem Mostert are kind of
that's a little much. That's a little much, but yeah.
But do you think it paints a kind of you know, the line going forward to, if players act like this, they might get what they want?
It depends. It really depends on what the terms of the contract are. Because like I said, if it's one of those things where it's like, we'll give you a little more upfront money, but if you want to earn the rest of it, you got to earn it. You know, then that's, I don't think that puts the 49ers in a position of weakness. I think that makes them look very shrewd because it protects them. If Raheem Mostert comes out and shits the bed, then all of a sudden it's like, well, he's not getting that extra money. He's not getting those incentives. And maybe you potentially have a deal where he actually earns less than what he would have if he just kept the status quo. So we don't know until the terms come out. But like I said, I don't think the 49ers would have done this without some type of incentive for them to do it, something in it for them. You know, there's always that thing. They just didn't do this because they're these altruistic, you know, people, the GM and, you know, Parag Marathe and you know, John Lynch, these angels who just want to help everybody. That's not the way that it is. He's going to have to come and prove that he is the guy that he says that he is, you know, and sometimes by being your own advocate, you can become your own worst enemy if you hype yourself up too much. So he's got to avoid those pitfalls. He's still got to come in hungry. As far as I'm concerned, he could go from the guy to being out of here just like that. And we've seen it before. We've seen it in different situations. And don't forget that, you know, he has had injuries too. You know, he's broken a forearm. He's, you know, had little knickknacks here and there. He's had a fumbling problem. He needs to come in with his head right, and hopefully that this is something that says, hey, we've taken care of you. Come in, mind your P's and Q's, do your job, and I fully expect him to. I know he's a hard worker. Come in, do your job, and show out, and you'll get paid. So it's as simple as that. I don't think it makes the team look weak at all, though.
All right, yeah, don't take my comparison there literally, but I think we'll wrap it up for there today, guys. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Our handles are below on the screen. Make sure you hit that like button. Drop a comment below. Do you think that the 49ers made the right decision in giving Raheem Mostert that restructured deal he wants? And make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this.
Go ahead and hit the bell for all your notifications. We're always bringing you hot 49ers content.
Thanks, guys.
Go Niners.